Hello, my name is Michael Cox, and welcome to Across the Arts. Joining me today is the artistic director of the Gilded Balloon, Koren. Koren, welcome.
Thank you.
Now, first, can you tell us a little bit about the Gilded Balloon? It's one of the most notable venues within the Fringe, but it also is an organization that's on throughout the entire year. It's not just a festival gig, is it?
No. The Gilded Balloon came about in 1986. I started it in the Cowgate. There was a cafe bar there, and they wanted things to go on during the festival. So I went from there and started doing the Gilded Balloon. The cafe and the art gallery that were there, they all sort of went, to the wall, and I kept going. And I was doing it more or less in those years as a hobby. I didn't think it would become a career, but it snowballed. I ended up with about 14 venues all around the Cowgate. And then TVIT came along. Now, TVIT, where we are at the Students' Union, it many years ago was the Fringe Club. And the Fringe Club decided to stop promoting shows, etc., and so they stopped doing it. So for a few years it had, we had discos in it, and then they approached me, and I thought, no, great. And luckily for me, my whole business burnt down in the Cowgate in 2002, and I managed to keep TVIT. So, and we've been there 10 years now. And it's a great, great venue, love it to bits. The Gilded Balloon, so I started all that, and I started promoting, producing my own work. And therefore I started doing tours, comedy tours. I mean, I started mainly in the comedy industry, but we do plays. I'm producing 4 plays this year.
Now, most venues have an identity, I think is the best way I can kind of describe it. Is there a way that you would describe Gilded Balloon's identity as showing it to be a different venue than the others that are around during the Fringe?
I think Gilded Balloon has a very big identity. Our identity does come from me initially. When the Gilded Balloon started, as I said, it started from comedy, whereas the others started from theatre mainly. Comedy was my my heart and soul, if you like, because I had friends who were performing, some of them in acting, at college, and they went on to do stand-up comedy. And in the 80s, stand-up comedy was the new alternative. And there wasn't too much of it in Scotland, and so from that I was very much out to find the new young comedians, and we started a show called So You Think You're Funny, which is a competition which has now been running 25 years. I initially started it to find comics in Scotland, but it snowballed into one of the biggest and best stand-up competitions in the UK, and everybody and anybody who is now working in the comedy industry did it, really. Yeah.
Now let's talk a little bit about So You Think You're Funny. What exactly is So You Think You're Funny?
It is, well, I say it's a stand-up comedy competition. It's a comedy competition which is mainly for stand-ups. We have had double acts and music acts, etc. But it is stand-up comedians who do the circuit.
So of the heats, what is it you look for within the heats to get somebody to progress to the final?
The whole thing about these new young comics is talent. One of the things I do every time we have all the judges and we've judged, we go out and meet them in the bar afterwards and tell them, give them advice on what we think. Now, there is certain criteria, which is obviously they're funny, and they have to be different. They have to have a spark. There is a thing called star quality in people. Yes. I mean, I remember quite clearly Russell Brand, who I saw first in London when he first started, and I said, you should come into So You Think You're Funny, which he did, and he had actually done the Hackney Empire New Act of the Year, and nobody voted for him, and I said to them, you're mad, this guy has got such star quality. But he was quite an angry young man, as he still can be, but you know, he had problems in those days. But it's that you're looking for. Daniel Kitson as well, you know, brilliant comic. It's about complete originality.
Now explain to me what Late and Live is.
Late and Live is, again, it was a show that's late and live. Starts at 1 in the morning, finishes at 5, and it, at the old Gilded Balloon, it was a place for all the... I was the latest opening of all the venues, and all the comics would come down and putting comics on and paying them some beer money, so that they, you know, they would come up to Edinburgh, lose a fortune, but they'd always have money to drink with, because I'd pay them, you know, not loads of money, but you know, I'd pay them enough to get at least a few pints.
A little bit of a buzz.
Yeah. But what I always did at Late and Live was had comedy that was a bit edgy and a bit different. I didn't want comedians to come up and do their act. They would play with the audience a bit, and then we would put up on a really good party band. And some of the comics would get up and sing with the band, you know, that kind of thing. And so the atmosphere was quite electric, and of course, people would have been out seeing shows all day, and then they'd let their hair down, heckle like mad, and you know. So it got a reputation early on. I think one of the things is the comedy abattoir, you know. But it's all to do with the very, very good compares we had. You know, from the early days, Frank Skinner used to do it, Mark Lamar did it, Daniel Kitson, Ross Noble was brilliant at it. And, you know, it's them controlling the audience. And Daniel Kitson, he actually helped in that transition from the old venue to the new venue, because the old venue worked better because the bar was at the side, and the comics would be all stuffed in there drinking like man, and then they'd rush in to see somebody die. So, and then, you know, you'd get various people making fools of themselves on stage, etc.
Now this has been going on for 27 years. Where did the inspiration come to start this madness?
Well, as I say, really to get the comics, because certainly in the 80s, and I think in the 90s, there was a great camaraderie with the comics, and there wasn't as many. So they all used to congregate at the Gilded Balloon, and they would just love either honouring their fellow comics, you know, like Rich Hall would go up and do a great set, and they'd go, oh, brilliant man, or seeing them falling flat on their faces, and you know. So it just it evolved. It evolved over the years, and now there is so many shows at the festival, that are trying to copy it, but you can't really. It is about the uniqueness of the compere and the comics that come down there late at night.
I mentioned the Miss Marple play is one of 4 plays that you were actually producing.
That's right.
Now,
quite nervous about it.
I was about ready to say, what brought that madness upon you to play in the theatre?
The thing is that I have always done theatre, but it's like theatre. It's not anything that is going to change the world. However, it has to be entertaining. I'm not very into elitist theatre. I like to get bums on seats, and Janet, who is playing Miss Marple, Miss Marple being Margaret Rutherford and Agatha Christie, and it's the story of their friendship. She has been acting all the time. Stephen's been doing comedy, and I just wanted to give her a pension, if you like, give her a monologue that she can travel the country with, and that I can tour. So then the other play that I have commissioned is The Agony and the Ecstasy of Steve Jobs.
A little bit of controversy with this one.
And that is by Mike Daisey. Now, everybody is telling me it's selling because it's Mike Daisey, and Mike Daisey is not coming over to perform it. He is happily living in New York, I think. But he's got a Google search, every single thing that's come up, Mike Daisey's on the email to me saying, now is this right? I don't think this is right. So I have to be very, very careful, because he's very obviously, quite rightly, very protective of his work.
Yes.
But I had mentioned to Andy Arnold, who is the artistic director of the Tron Theatre in Glasgow, I said, Mike Daisey is licensing out this piece, what do you think? Oh yeah, great. And he has edited it down to an hour. And then we've got Mel Gedroyd, who is Mel and Sue.
Yeah.
And she's written her first play, and it was in the Play Pie and the Pint season at the Autumn Moor. And the thing is with Play Pie and the Pint and Autumn Moor is Dave McLennan commissions these pieces, but then they don't get a life.
Yeah.
So he's always very keen to get, and this is funny, poignant, about sisters.
Slice, if I'm not mistaken.
And it's called Slice, sorry, and it's about cakes as well. They bake a cake in it and everything. So I'm looking forward to that. I think we probably will have problems with the baking and everything, but I'm sure we'll do and I'm sure everyone will get a slice.
Even better. Now you've also brought Casablanca, the gin joint.
Yes. Now that I was interested in from when it was another play, in fact, that was at Autumn Moor many years ago, only at the beginning of last year, I think. Now, Morag Fullerton is a very talented writer and director, and she directs a lot of big TV, but her heart is in the theatre. And this is a wonderful homage to film noir, and it reminds me a bit of the reduced Shakespeare Company and or 39 Steps, that they're bringing down a piece, but it's also a bit of slapstick comedy, because there's all these exits, and it was on at the Pleasance last festival, and it had very good, there was discussions of touring it, and so that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. We're putting it on at the Gilded Balloon and then touring it around Scotland in not huge venues, but then going to the Pleasance in London. And within that, I'm hoping that the Criterion or whoever will come along, and that's great. But I would love the opportunity of being able to do new work, and that's why these plays are very exciting to me. But there's so much on that. I tell you who I am excited about is a little Stockbridge actor.
Okay.
He's doing Mikey and Me, Sean Connery, Mikey and Me.
Yes.
And it's on at lunchtime, and this boy is going to be huge. So I think everybody should go and see that.
Excellent advice. Karen, thank you so much for your time. I greatly appreciate it.
Not at all.
And best of luck to you.
Thank you, I need it.